social cleansing. And some of you guys already touched base on that. You understand because we've all had to do it. Not all of us, but many of us. Some people still need to because their environment that they're living in is really unhealthy and not good for them to move forward in a positive direction. So the first thing there's, like I said, 9 different topics. And I'm going to read each one of these that I took notes on. And number 1 is don't expect others to change. Do not expect them to change. First and most importantly, moving past toxic relationships requires true acceptance of the fact that you can't force toxic people to change. They may imply that they can change, or you may yearn to be the one who can help them become better, but this is almost always a hopeless project because your intentions might be there, but it depends on if their motivation is going to stay there in the same aspect. And that's a hard one. Toxic people are not motivated by what's good for them or for their relationship with you. They're motivated by their own complex problems and needs. When you give up the desire to change them, it's much easier to let them go. You just move on. Number 2, establish and maintain your boundaries. This is all about you being strong for yourself. Like, who was it that was mentioned it before? I think it was Mary. It says, be your own advocate. I mean, that is more important than anything. You've got to be strong for you. Everything that you do must come from within you. Manipulative and toxic people drain your resources by constantly pushing you to work harder to please them, making you compromise more and more and more to please them. You're getting pushed aside. This is exhausting and transgresses all acceptable relationship boundaries. Give some serious thought to what you will tolerate and what you won't from partners, family members, colleagues, and quote unquote friends. When you get a sense that something's not right in your interactions with somebody, run through your mental boundary list in your head or written down or whatever, and enforce these boundaries deliberately and rigid. Be strong. It has to come from within you. And if you need other support services, like we were talking about, us helping each other, reach out to us because we will advocate. I will. I guarantee I will. Number 3. This is a tough one because you think with your heart, and this is a big thing, and I'm going to get onto that later, is thinking with your heart versus your head. It's not good. Toxic people often make it seem like they need you because they're always in crisis. But the important thing to know is that these are crises of their own making. Toxic people create drama deliberately in order to attract more attention and engage in manipulation. So remember this the next time you're asked to run to their side. You might feel bad, but remember that you're not dealing with the genuine person in distress. There's a phrase, it's not the empty can rattles the most. That's dumb people. I say that all the time. But there's another one about misery loves company. And a lot of times that's gotta stop. I mean, they want to go on and on and on about how bad their situation is, but they're not saying when you have time or if you can. It's all about what they want, you know. So that's number 3. Number 4, focus on the solution. Toxic people give you a lot to be sad and angry about, but if you focus on this, you'll stay miserable and frustrated. Even if you're excising such a person from your social circle, instead, turn your attention to the fact you're clearing up a psychological and emotional mess in your own life. If you spend much of your time ruminating on and trying to understand a toxic person's negative behavior, they'll suck you away from the resources even when they're no longer in your life. It's just a waste of time dwelling on them when you need to concentrate on being better yourself. Be focused on you. You come before anybody else does at all. Even when you have children, you come before those children. You could be a better parent. You could be a better person for you, you know. And then comes them. Always, 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 always. And this is something that, number 5 is something that us in the brain injury community, if you've accepted your brain injury, you're already willing to do this, but it's own your difficulties and weaknesses. When you're in a toxic relationship of any kind, you notice that the other person tends to exploit your flaws and find ways to use them against you. However, you can dramatically reduce the likelihood of this happening by simply getting to know yourself and learning to accept your weaknesses. And that's acceptance. That's the way things happen. You just concentrate on, all right, I got to strengthen myself in this area, but it's not for them to criticize you. Balance them against your strengths. Believe that you're a good person and commit to self-improvement, which is what I was saying. Self-enlightenment, self-improvement. I did it. The majority of us should do it, is do a self-reflection and say, okay, this is where I'm great at, and this is where I need to improve. But concentrate on those compliments of how good you are at things, because you don't let the rest hold you down. That way, it'll be old news as a toxic person trying to highlight your perceived flaws, and you won't be easily manipulated by such a tactic. The put downs and negative behaviors and stuff, it's just going to keep you down. Number 6, and this is a good one too, understand projection. Part of removing toxic people from your life involves reducing their power over you and your emotions, and that requires recognizing that they're not really seeing you when they're hurting you. In truth, they're projecting onto you the parts of themselves they don't want to acknowledge or accept, so they can pull out of their suppressed self-hatred and attacking you. It makes them feel more powerful. See their cruel behavior for what it is, a way of avoiding the truth about themselves, their own insecurities, their own inhibitions, and their own past, and things like that. And this is something we talk about. Now, I shouldn't say just with kids, because this all happens with family members too. Know they may resist. Toxic people often throw tantrums when they feel ignored. This is usually because you're stopping them from being able to control or manipulate you. They may increase their previous tactics tenfold, but eventually they will back off and look elsewhere to meet their needs. And that's the whole idea. Don't give in when their behavior escalates, and instead remind yourself that you're teaching these people that their old behaviors will no longer work. You're strengthening yourself. You are coming before anybody else does. It's your life. You decide where it goes from here, always. Number 8, choose your battles carefully. On a related note, make sure you choose your battles wisely. Conflict with toxic people requires huge amounts of energy and time. Just remember that you don't need to engage every fight that they may try to instigate. Instead, save your energy save that energy for looking after yourself and nourishing relationships that are genuinely healthy. The good people, positive people, enlightening people, people that are looking at the positive side of things. And nobody knows better than us brain injury survivors is the toll that it takes on you emotionally. It way outbears anything physical that you're going through, because it's so draining all the time. And that one about choosing your battles, and I was saying surround yourself with the right people, brings us to the last one, number 9. Surround yourself with healthy relationships. And that's us. Finally, removing toxic people from your life can be deeply painful, but as you may deeply care for some of those people in spite of how difficult it is to have them in your life. To maintain your resilience and cope with any sadness, stay in close contact with those who make you feel safe, cherished, appreciated, and happy. These are the people who will model healthy friendships and relationships, reminding you exactly why you are choosing to sever toxic ones around you. You've got to you focus on the best parts of life, not your past, not the negativity. The things that we go through are tough, But those things that we went through make us stronger and make us more, I said stronger, but makes us, it's like it builds your skin like leather, like you're tougher than that. And you could still move on. You could still go forward. You always have somewhere to go from here. You know, I talk about that all the time is, you decide on how things are going to affect you. And that's the bottom line. You decide, you know, if something's going to keep you down, if things are going to continue to hurt you, or where can I go from here? You take it to where you want it to be. It's all up to you. Circumstances are hard, but you decide on what you're going to let get the best of you and what you won't. It's the bottom line, and if you want to get better physically, it's got to start emotionally, because negativity that negative perspective will take its toll on you physically. You'll end up getting sick more, you're down more, you're not eating, you're not taking care of yourself. Depression has such a negative aspect on the body and how it helps itself. It's just a downward spiral. So you can't let things consume you. Well, okay, I'm done talking. That was my 9 things. But I'm going to open up the lines now. Everybody can talk. Just take your time talking to one another, and I don't know, give everybody a little bit of a chance to speak. So I'm going to open the lines now.